I'd like to call to order a meeting of the Oconee County Council. It's March 6, 6 p.m. We're going to start with our public comment session per usual. First on the list is Ms. Jean Jennings regarding the Recreational Task Force.
Good evening, Council. I'm Jean Jennings. I would like to talk about the Recreational Task Force that Mr. Davis is the chairman of. Mr. Davis, I would like to ask you, when do you have time with all these meetings and everything for your business? You must have a lot of time, spare time. I understand the task force is asking for $548,000 that would be divided between 5 recreation departments, the 3 municipalities in Salem and Fair Oaks. The figure hasn't yet been determined. The $548,000 figure is only an estimate. If County Council approves this funding, it would replace the amount the county currently provides the rec departments, which is $5,000 per department per year, and an additional $25,000 per department every 5 years. The task force also agreed to ask County Council for $25,000 to help fund trips. I would like to ask the council to leave things the way they are. The task force doesn't even know the amount they want to ask you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jean. Mr. Schuler.
My name's Al Schuler, and I'd like to talk about the same topic. Basically, the first thing I ever attended that had anything to do with the county was at the Oakway High School. And they were talking about the water and all of that stuff, and I was just meeting people. And I asked them, I told them the floor looked like it was in good shape. How much did it cost, you know? And several people were there, and they all said, we got no idea what it cost. County paid for that. Said, we don't pay for anything. Said, county pays for everything here. County pays for the school, county pays for the, all the recreational things and things like that. Well, if you're going to put all this together and divide it up among the county, then how is Oakway going to pay their share? I mean, personally, I think they ought to have a taxing district where they collect their taxes like everybody else and pay for what everybody else pays for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schuler. Cranky Pearson.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm speaking for myself and no other entity in the county. I've read this comprehensive plan, and I've noticed a lot of problems with the plan. It needs to be fixed. I also realize that it's not going to be an easy fix. It's not going to be something that can be done cheaply, I don't think. But we just need to get on board with this. The county officials, if they see anything that's in this thing, they need to inform the planning commission and let them fix the problems instead of it being a controversy or a bad thing going around. We need to get this thing fixed and get it done before 2020 to where we'll be in line with what the state and all requires. But as a private citizen, I do think that the staff and the planning commission is going to need funds to help this out and get this job done by the deadline. So, thank you.
Thanks, Frankie. Mr. John Dalen.
Hi, good evening. I gave you all a copy of a letter that I sent to Blue Ridge, and it's regarding the smart meters. I personally object to them. There's 10 points on this letter, the main objections to the smart meter. And one of them is that Blue Ridge is not informing their customers of the nature of these meters and what they're capable of. And I believe that the county could end up being liable for damages if a lot of people find out, and if I have my way, a lot of people will find out. So you might want to call Blue Ridge in here and have them explain why they're not telling people about these meters and getting people's consent before they install them. You can't claim consent if the people weren't informed. That's not consent, so. They need to get consent to install a surveillance device on people's property, and they're not doing it, and they're not telling people. So basically, I'd like you to look over the letter that I sent to Blue Ridge, and I will be back in 2 weeks to give you more details on it. I will have spoken to Blue Ridge by that time, and I'll let you know what they said to me and what I said to them, and we'll go from there. But you might want to look into this now before they install a lot of meters, because they may have to pull them all back off, and there may be damages involved. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Danielle Panko? Panko?
Close enough.
Sorry, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. Hello, my name is Danielle Panko, and I have 2 children that go to Wahala Elementary School, as well as the other women over here have children that go there. And as you know, right now, there's a huge concern as to safety. And we believe one step that we need to take as soon as possible would be to getting a school resource officer there every single day, not just, a couple days a week at certain times. We need one there every single day, 5 days a week, which means we are in need of more school resource officers. I think this is a huge, huge problem that we have. And I think that they are doing their best, but they are spread very thinly amongst the schools that they go to. And we are all concerned about our children, and I think that that's something that we need to look into very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schoonover?
Good evening, Council. I'm Jim Schoonover from Salem. My wife and I are on the production team for the Oconee Heritage Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail. As you may recall, several months ago, you presented a plaque to Martha File for starting and expanding the Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail. Ours is the first quilt trail in South Carolina. There are presently about 48 states that have quilt trails. Our quilt trail, as I said, expanded into Pickens and Anderson County, and we are now jointly called the Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail. Anderson and Pickens also have their own studios, as do we. I'm sure you will recall approving a lease for our Upstate Heritage Quilt Trail at the Oakway Middle School, now the Oakway Community Center. We moved into the center in mid-October and settled in pretty quickly. We occupy what was originally the home economics area and has lots of sinks and things, and it serves our purposes very well. And you might say we're really happy painters. As this is a prelude, all this is a prelude to reminding you of the invitation to our open house this Friday, March 9th, from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Oakway Center. Mr. Mulder, you're invited too. I'm not sure if we sent you an invitation or not. We have several barn quilts in various stages of completion there, and we'll be demonstrating how we actually draw and paint these quilts. As an added incentive, we are offering punch and some really good snacks. I hope you can make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schoonover. Scott, what is that knocking noise I'm hearing in the
When they
background?
touch the,
Yeah, I think it's just the, whatever they call those things, day or whatever,
Oh, it's the
podium thing.
podium? Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
Do we have more speakers?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's.
Okay. Well, that's the first time it's bothered me. So yes, there are no more speakers for public comment. Any council members' comments at this time?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I'd like to address, I wish there's more people to hear tonight about school violence. We had the sheriffs here and one deputy. School violence is something that, you know, kids it starts out, they play video games. They watch the video game. You play bank robbery or whatever video games are. And you turn it off, you turn it back on again, you start over again. Kids are becoming, children, not kids, are becoming desensitized to violence, murder, loss of life. And you play the game over and over again, after a while, it's nothing about it. All the school shootings that we have, tragic shootings, the police go back and they look. Well, he was on the internet. He was saying this weeks before. He was gonna do this. And the internet out there, there are people out there to egg them on. Yeah, do it, do it, do it. There was a case a couple of weeks ago. Mother told her daughter, you can't go out. It's a school night. No, you can't go out. So her daughter gets mad, goes in the room, gets on the computer or cell phone, whatever it is, and starts blabbing out that she's mad at her mother. So the idea was hatched to pour Clorox on her mama's wedding pictures. And everybody was egging her on, do it, do it, do it. And there's parents should monitor what the kids are doing. Maybe, just maybe, some of this could be averted. You can't expect the schools to do everything. And then on the other hand, the parents get on the kid, start shaking their finger at him, and the kid tells the parent, well, I'm gonna go to school and tell the people at school, and they'll call DSS on you. That always is a threat back and forth. So at one point, the teachers are facing brutality, people coming and shooting the school up. And then on the other hand, the teacher's telling, well, your parents say anything to you, come tell us, we'll call DSS. I think that human life has become just TV shows, everything, just expendable. It's a game. We kill everybody, turn it off, turn it back on again. It's nothing to it. And nobody realizes the seriousness and the tragedy that these type actions cost. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other comments?
Yes, ma'am. Just to the folks who came to speak regarding school safety, I certainly appreciate y'all coming and recognize your concerns, and I hope this council will do everything in our power to fund an SRO in every school. We've made some progress over this past budget year, but I know that we don't currently have officers in every school, and so hopefully we can find a way to do that next year, in the next upcoming fiscal year. But we do appreciate y'all coming and certainly hear your concerns.
Any other comments?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to echo the comments on appreciate all what the SROs do, not only to protect our schools, but also as a mentors, and appreciate what you as teachers do. And, being a parent as well, and my kids in Oconee County School District, I also, we'll do everything we can to protect our kids. And, somebody asked me, we could limit this. I said, well, the best thing we can do is lessen the opportunity that something ever should happen. And, we can't stop the hate. All we can do is do the best thing we can do is love our kids and care for our what we have out there. And I think that's the best thing that we can do, and appreciate all those that serve not only as officers but also as teachers as well, because it's a big calling, and all the volunteers that go into the schools, that makes a big difference as well. On another note, I just wanted to speak a little bit on the Recreation Task Force and the things that I've been doing on there, and not to come directly at you, Ms. Jennings, but this is about the fourth meeting that we've had this kind of I don't want to call it an attack on me. I'd love to sit down and meet with you. And maybe we could come up to a solution. You can understand a little bit of what we're trying to do here rather than kind of getting stuff thrown at. I am a father, I am a husband, I am a business owner, and I love this county, and I pour a lot into this job, and I spend a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time to do this. What I do here is a sacrifice. And I want you to know that nothing I have is derogatory toward anything, but I will fight for these kids, and I will fight for recreation programs in Oconee County. And, you know, like I said, I'll have Ms. Smith set up something with you. We can sit down here at the county and we can talk about this, and maybe come to a solution rather than, you know, 4 times in a row coming here at me, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else? Any comments? I have a couple of comments to make. I would like to publicly apologize to David Root, our county attorney. If you read the Journal today, I was accused of, well, being blamed for the Clemson annexation issue. And what ended up happening was I got 11 phone calls today turning around and blaming David Root because he's our county attorney and he should be reading those contracts and advising us properly. So I'd like you all to know that David Root wasn't even here when the Casto contract was signed. It was the McNair law firm, Tom Martin. So if you want to accuse me, that's fine, I can handle that. If you want to accuse an attorney, well then Tom Martin and the McNair law firm is the one to point the finger at. And I hope we could quit pointing fingers and just resolve this. I know we're on schedule to be resolving this soon. So if you can just be patient a little longer, we will resolve the annexation issue. Thank you. And I'm sorry, David. Anybody else? Okay, so on that note, please join me for a moment of quiet silence. Thank you. Mr. Root?
Yes, ma'am. Please pray with me if you like. Father, I'm sure like a lot of folks have been moving rapidly today, caught up in our business, caught up in our thoughts, presence, and importantly than anything, air we breathe for the ability to interact with one another. Help us to do that in a positive, loving way, your way. That would govern this meeting. Thoughts, clarity, and mercy.
Amen. Thank you. Mr. Kane, the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need to approve 2 sets of minutes tonight. The first from our special meeting, February 19th, and the second from our regular meeting, February 20th.
Motion to approve February 19th, 2018 special meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion, any changes or corrections? All in favor? Aye.
Motion to approve February 20, 2018 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion, changes or corrections? All in favor? Aye. Mr. Mulder, Administrator Report.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll provide just a brief summary of the agenda. We don't have too many items on here tonight. First, we have a public hearing in regards to ordinance 2018-05. This is an ordinance that would authorize a lease agreement for office space at the airport located in Hangar E. This is a small area of the hangar that can't be used for airplane storage. So we've converted that into a small office space, and we're asking council to approve the ordinance that would allow me to execute the lease with Ms. Julie Ibrahim. Again, the property is located at 365 Airport Road. Then we have the subsequent third reading following that public hearing of 2018-05. Second readings this evening, only one, it's 06. This is an ordinance to amend and supplement the Oconee County Comprehensive Plan. The Planning Commission has gone through and provided just a numerical update and factual update. This is not the full rewrite that you would be approving as part of that. This is just a review and amendment to the comprehensive plan. The full rewrite is still left to come. So this ordinance 2018-06 would amend and supplement that comprehensive plan update, not the full rewrite. First reading of the following ordinance is 0. We do have some action items. We're asking you guys to approve the contract and bid amounts for tree removal and lane clearing for the Seneca Rail Site. This is being requested by the Oconee Economic Alliance. We had 10 bidders submit with Thrasher's Grading LLC out of Poundville, South Carolina, that submitted the lowest, as stated on the agenda, in the amount of $96,000. We are asking for council to also approve a 10% contingency, which would bring the total to $105,600. Again, Thrasher's Grading LLC of Townville, South Carolina. I do want to point out that this project is being completely funded by grant funds that the Alliance had sought and received. So this is not local taxpayer dollars paying for this. It is fully grant funded. Two other items I believe were requested to be added to the agenda. The first, for council to discuss a joint workshop with the Planning Commission. I think there was an estimate of March 29th, 2018 at 6 o'clock as stated for your consideration and discussion. And then also the Planning Commission has requested a text amendment to the Lake Residential District for sliding scales for front setbacks. They've fully vetted that and presented it to you guys for discussion as well. Board and commission appointments, you've got 2 openings at this point in time, no unfinished or new business, and no council committee reports tonight. We do have the 3 executive session items on the agenda that we still will need. The first, of course, is the discussion of the lawsuit in relation to opioid epidemic. Second is to discuss the annexation and the incentive agreements and development matters with regard to Lakeside Lodge development. And then the third one is to hear some comments from our attorney, Mr. David Root, in regards to a legal matter that mediation occurred last week. And he wanted to give you an update on the results of that with that proposed and pending legal action. That's your agenda, fairly easy this evening. So I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair. If you guys have any questions, obviously I'm here to answer those now or when they come up on the agenda.
Okay, so we're going to start with public hearing for ordinance 2018-05. That is the lease agreement at the airport between the county and Julie Ibrahim. Mr. Al Schuler, you wanted to speak about this public hearing? Okay, I'll just say that was a mistake. Okay, sorry. That being the case, anyone else would like to speak about that now? You have the opportunity, or you can submit any written comments to our clerk. So we can proceed now with third reading. I'll close the public hearing. We can proceed with third reading of ordinance 2018-05.
Motion to approve ordinance 2018-05.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Second reading of ordinance 2018-06, an ordinance to amend, excuse me, an ordinance to amend and supplement the Oconee County Comprehensive Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I had spent some time reading through that, but I didn't really see where the changes were.
The majority of the changes are, and Mr. Root can probably speak more, I'm going to use the word intelligently because I want him to think I'm smart, probably intelligently. More intelligently than I can.
Madam Chair, the planning department, Mr. Adam Chapman specifically, put together at the very end of the full text that y'all have in Exhibit C, and he carved out the list of items that were updated. As Mr. Mulder alluded to at the outset during his summary, this wasn't any change in the substance of the text. This is really just an update in the data, so it brought it current.
Okay.
Population, things like this, and they're all outlined in this summary, which is.
Well, I saw
still
that,
pretty long.
but usually I expect yellow highlights, and I was trying to match it back to the previous.
He chose to do it that way because with all the yellow highlights and carvings and deletions and red lines, it made a very awkward document to look at.
Okay,
Yeah, that was actually my recommendation. He had asked me how we should present it, and he showed me a copy of the marked up version, and you'd have been lost trying to read it with all the different markings and changes and deletions. So I asked him to do this summary, thinking that might be
Okay,
an
all
easier
right.
approach than trying to show you all the markups.
that's fine.
We can certainly, if you'd like to see that version, we can certainly present it to you.
No, the current version is
Right, am I right?
complicated enough. Mhm. Okay. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No first readings. Discussion regarding action items, the tree removal, land clearing for the Seneca Rail site. Uh, The bid is for tree removal and land clearing, and it was awarded to Thrasher's Grading LLC of Townville. We need to approve the award of the bid and authorize the county administrator to approve any change orders within the contingency amount.
Motion to approve Thrasher's Grading LLC up to 105,600.
Second.
Any
And
discussion?
authorize me to
And
And authorize-
authorize the county administrator to approve any change orders within the contingency amount.
Second.
One of my customers.
Thrasher's Grading is one of your customers. You can abstain from the vote, that being the case. Any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. McCall, would you feel better if you exited during the vote? I'm not sure what the economic tie is to it, but if you just,
I'm rebuilding a bunch of stuff for them. But if it makes it any easier, they'd already, the bid was opening before I took them on as a customer. What do you think?
it's up to you. It really is. If you just want to abstain, we'll get the sheet and we'll give it to you afterwards.
I
You don't-
think I'm better if somebody will say something.
Always be, probably safest route.
I think what he was saying was get out of the room.
Okay, leave. All right, where are we?
I had the
So-
motion and
And the
I
second,
second it.
I got
Yeah.
second here.
okay, discussion.
My son on different occasions works for Thrasher. Should I abstain too?
That would be such an indirect benefit. I think that, I don't want to give an ethics opinion here, but when you have a benefit that's going to go to a group as a whole, then it's generally not something that has to engender or cause the recusal of an individual council member. Again, I can't give you ethics opinion, so if you want to recuse yourself, feel free to do it if you think there's going to be some direct, specific economic benefit to you or family member.
You're fine.
You're fine. You're fine. Okay, any other comments or questions about this? All in favor? Aye. Okay, Mr. McCall. All right, next, discuss joint workshop with Planning Commission. Well, Planning Commission would like another joint workshop,
I'm good.
date March 29th at 6 PM.
I'm good.
Anybody have a conflict or would rather suggest another date?
It works for me. It was a
You're
lot
good?
of fun last time. I'm sure the sequel will be even better.
Usually sequels aren't as good. Do we need to vote on this, or?
We really don't, but I think the one issue was to make sure we had a mechanism to work out the agenda for the meeting. I know the planning commission was concerned about getting, or at least wanted to focus on the comprehensive plan and the corridor development ordinance, if there is gonna be one, and then perhaps if y'all had other items, just so we had an agenda fine-tuned.
What were there?
Comprehensive plan
Okay.
update, meaning the big update for 2020.
Okay,
As well as the corridor development, I'll call it a project since it's been ongoing.
does anybody want to add to that agenda?
So we got comprehensive plan, corridor
Corridor.
plan.
And of course, if something comes up.
Can we
Do
have,
we need
I
to
was
talk
gonna
about traditional neighborhood development in there?
say, yeah, yes.
I think we're gonna have that meeting with the developer out of your committee, that
Mhm.
instruction, and we'll see what happens from that.
I think if we can have an agenda put together prior to the March 20th meeting so we could post it, I think that'll give a little bit, I'd have to think through little things.
Okay.
We'll just have the planning commission chair and the council chair work together to develop a final agenda.
And that's fine, so submit your special requests when
So
you
it will
have the
be a
time.
public meeting, correct?
They
Oh,
will be
yeah,
in
just
notice
like
to the
last
Just
public.
making
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so, but we don't
So
need
get
to
them.
vote on this?
Let's go ahead and make
So
that.
get them to you, agenda items to you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
If I could have a motion to meet with planning commission on March 29th at 6 PM, and a second to discuss matters to be placed on agenda to be agreed upon.
okay.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next, referral to Planning Commission of a request for a text amendment to Lake Residential District to include a sliding scale for front setbacks for communities where sewer infrastructure is present. We really need to pass this on to the Planning Commission for their review, and then they can make a decision and pass it on back to us. What was happening was in some of our lakeside communities where infrastructure, sewer water is present, some of the odd-shaped and smaller, less than half an acre lots, the front setback was the major concern, was interfering with the building process or how to set the house on there properly. And it was requested of me to look at a sliding scale in those communities for the front setbacks so the house can be positioned properly. Since usually the front setbacks are reserved for utilities and those utilities are already present. We have a sliding scale in control-free, and we were looking to basically have the same sliding scale in Lake Residential. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So you just need a motion to refer, is that what you
To
are?
refer to the Planning Commission so they can take a second look at the wording and get back to us with the text amendment.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Board and commission appointments. We're still hung up on the Building Codes Appeal Board.
No, I have someone.
No, that's for Board of Zoning Appeals. Go ahead, Mr. Clyde.
Mr. Ryan Honey has volunteered his services on that committee,
Okay.
and I'd like to nominate him to be on that committee. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right. Any unfinished business?
I've got a question for Mr. Mulder.
Okay.
On this, private contractor that we have doing our plans, have we advertised for that position to put that back into the county?
When you say private contractor doing our plans, what do you refer to?
Well, they're in the codes and they've been reviewing our plans for, I didn't say review in front
You're
of.
talking about the building codes department?
The Building Codes Department, we have a private contractor that's reviewing plans for us.
That's correct.
Have we advertised for that position to take it in-house?
No, sir. Right now, they're still reviewing plans and handling the majority of our commercial work so that we can focus in on our residential inspections with the limited staff we have. As part of the elimination of positions from last year's budget, or this year's budget, I guess it was, we are trying to not fill those positions in building codes at this point in time.
Well, which is cheaper, to pay someone or to pay them?
I can always run those numbers and put together salaries and how much we're paying them and do a report for you and get it to you.
Well, I'd like to see one, please.
Okay, be glad to.
I have some unfinished business, just something popped into my head. I believe, Mr. Root, I questioned if we can have an alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Is that acceptable?
I remember that, if it seems like I was sitting on my desk when I, when I heard that question. And I do not know the answer to that. That is, it would be an oddity in my experience. I'm not saying I've got it all in the last 20 years, but some, for quorum issues and notice issues otherwise, but I'm glad to look into it. I understand the issue. I understand the problem that we have there.
Okay.
So let me do some research on that. and see
Thank
what
you.
we can do.
Any new business? Okay, we have no council committee reports, so then we need to recess to executive session. Number one, to receive legal advice and discuss potential lawsuit in relation to opioid epidemic. Number two, to receive legal advice and discuss economic development matter and related issues involving the Lakeside Lodge development. Number three, to receive legal advice in relation to and discuss resolution of claim against vendor for failure to provide agreed-upon services. Do I hear a motion to recess?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. reconvene?
So,
So move.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No action was taken in executive session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include in title only ordinance 2018-08, ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a certain incentive agreements and incentives by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Project Lakeside Lodge pertaining to an economic development project which will not annex into the city of Clemson and other matters related thereto.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of amending the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam
Opposed?
Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2018-08 in title only on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
If I could have a motion to resolve the claim against the vendor as noted in item 3 of the executive session on the agenda as discussed during executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's it. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.